Listen carefully because what I'm about to reveal may shock you. Many people believe the bathroom is just a place for cleaning the body, a place for soap, water, mirrors, and personal care. But spiritually, the bathroom is more than that. It is one of the most vulnerable spaces in your home. It is a place where energy flows, where the body is exposed, and where spiritual doors can quietly open if you are not careful. There are things people keep in their bathrooms every day without thinking, items that seem normal, harmless, and ordinary. But what most people don't realize is that some of these things can carry energy, invite spiritual contamination, or even create an open door for negativity in your life. Many spiritual battles begin in very small, unnoticed places, not always in big decisions or obvious actions, but in the little habits we repeat daily. Something as simple as what you store in your bathroom can affect your peace, your spiritual atmosphere, and even your blessings. Some people wonder why their home feels heavy, why their mind feels restless, why peace disappears without explanation, yet the answer might be hidden in the very room they visit multiple times a day. Today, I want to open your eyes. I want you to look at your bathroom differently, not with fear, but with awareness. Because when you understand what should not be there, you can protect your space, cleanse your environment, and maintain spiritual order in your home. There are four things that many people unknowingly keep in their bathroom that should never be there. When you remove them, you close certain doors and restore the atmosphere of peace around you. But before we talk about those four things, let me give you 8 key insights that will help you understand why this matters. Many people think of the bathroom as nothing more than a practical place. It is where people wash their hands, take a shower, brush their teeth, and prepare themselves for the day. Because it is such a common and ordinary space, most people never stop to think about its deeper atmosphere. But when you begin to look at your home from a spiritual perspective, you realize that every room carries a certain type of energy. And the bathroom is one of the most sensitive spaces in the entire house. The bathroom is a place where cleansing happens. Physically, it is where the body releases impurities and washes away dirt. But spiritually, the idea of cleansing has always been significant. Throughout history, water has been connected with purification, renewal, and transformation. However, because the bathroom deals with both cleansing and waste at the same time, it becomes a place where different types of energy can mix. If the space is not treated carefully, it can easily absorb negativity. Think about how vulnerable a person is inside a bathroom. It is usually a private place where someone is alone, quiet, and physically exposed. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, moments of vulnerability are times when a person should be especially mindful of their environment. When someone enters the bathroom, they often let their guard down, their mind relaxes, their body opens up, and their focus shifts away from protection and awareness. This natural vulnerability is one reason why the space must be treated with respect and cleanliness. Another important thing to understand is that environments can hold atmosphere. Just as a peaceful room can make you feel calm and a chaotic place can make you feel uneasy. Certain spaces can collect emotional and spiritual residue over time. Bathrooms experience constant moisture, steam, and enclosed air. These conditions can make the atmosphere heavy if the room is not kept clean, ventilated, and balanced. When people ignore the spiritual atmosphere of the bathroom, they may unknowingly create a place where negative feelings linger. For example, if the space is always cluttered, dirty, or filled with items that do not belong there, the room can begin to feel uncomfortable. Many people have experienced walking into a bathroom that feels unpleasant even before noticing anything physically wrong. Sometimes the feeling is not about what you see, but about the energy the space has collected. Because of this sensitivity, the bathroom should be kept simple and intentional. It should remain a place for cleansing, not a storage area for every personal object in the home. When too many personal belongings are placed there, they may absorb the environment of the space. Over time, those items can carry that atmosphere back into other parts of your home. This is why awareness matters. When people understand that the bathroom is more than just a functional room, they begin to treat it differently. They keep it clean, organized, and free from unnecessary items. They make sure fresh air can circulate, light can enter, and the space remains balanced. These simple habits can completely change the atmosphere of the room. It is also important to remember that peace inside a home is not created by large actions alone. Often it is the small details that shape the environment around us. A neglected corner, a cluttered shelf, or an overlooked space can quietly influence how a home feels. The bathroom, because of its constant use, plays a larger role in this than most people realize. When the bathroom is respected as a sensitive space, it can support a sense of renewal. Instead of feeling heavy or uncomfortable, it becomes a place where you refresh yourself and release the stress of the day. The water becomes symbolic of washing away tiredness, negativity, and emotional weight. But when the space is ignored, crowded with the wrong items, or treated carelessly, it can lose that refreshing quality. Instead of being a place of renewal, it becomes a place where uncomfortable energy stays trapped. Understanding this simple truth helps you protect the atmosphere of your home. It encourages you to be mindful of what you bring into certain spaces and what you choose to keep there. When you begin to treat the bathroom with awareness and respect, you create a healthier environment not only for your body, but also for your peace of mind. Small changes can make a powerful difference. By recognizing that the bathroom is a spiritually sensitive space, you begin to guard it carefully. And when you guard the atmosphere of your home, you protect the peace that lives inside it. Many people believe that everyday objects are simply physical items with no deeper influence. A towel is just a towel. A comb is just a comb. And a bottle is just a bottle. But when you look at life more carefully, you begin to understand that objects are not always as neutral as they seem. The things we touch daily can absorb the atmosphere around them. They can carry emotions, environments, and even the energy of the places where they remain for long periods of time. Think about how certain items make you feel when you hold them. Sometimes a simple object can bring back strong memories. A piece of clothing may remind you of a particular day. A gift may remind you of the person who gave it to you. Even a room filled with old belongings can suddenly bring back emo Ennis from years ago. This happens because objects often carry the atmosphere that surrounded them. Human beings constantly interact with the world through touch, sight, and presence. Every day we handle phones, clothing, towels, brushes, and other personal items. These objects move with us through different environments. They sit in rooms, on shelves, or in drawers, quietly absorbing the conditions around them. Over time, they become part of the atmosphere of the place where they stay. When an object remains in a clean and peaceful space, it usually feels neutral or even comforting. When an object stays in an environment that is heavy, cluttered, or neglected, it can slowly take on that same atmosphere. This does not mean the object itself becomes harmful, but it can carry the emotional and environmental residue of where it has been kept. Bathrooms are a good example of this situation. Because bathrooms deal with constant moisture, steam, and daily physical cleansing, the environment is very active. Items placed there are exposed to heat, humidity, and the general atmosphere of the room. When personal objects stay there continuously, they can absorb that environment over time. This is why some people choose to keep only the most necessary items in their bathrooms. When too many personal belongings are left in that space, those items remain surrounded by an atmosphere that may not always be balanced. The longer they stay there, the more they become connected to that environment. Another thing to consider is how often objects are touched during emotional moments. For example, people sometimes spend time in the bathroom thinking, worrying, or processing their feelings. It is a private place where many people reflect on personal struggles or stress. During those moments, the objects around them are part of the environment where those emotions occur. Over time, it becomes easy for everyday items to be associated with the emotional atmosphere of the space. Even if this happens quietly and gradually, it can influence how we feel when we interact with those objects. Again, this is one reason why keeping personal belongings in the right place matters. Some items are better kept in areas of the home that are calm, organized, and well balanced. When objects remain in positive environments, they continue to feel neutral and comfortable to use. Being aware of this idea does not mean becoming fearful of ordinary things. Instead, it simply encourages mindfulness about where items are stored and how environments are maintained. When people organize their homes thoughtfully, they naturally protect the atmosphere around their belongings. Cleanliness also plays a role in this process. When objects are washed, refreshed, and cared for regularly, they do not remain stagnant in one environment for too long. Movement, light, and air all help maintain balance in the spaces where we live. The key lesson is that the relationship between people and their environment is constant. We influence the spaces around us, and those spaces influence us in return. The objects we use daily become part of that exchange. By becoming aware of how environments affect everyday objects, people begin to make wiser choices about where they place their belongings. They keep their homes cleaner, their spaces lighter, and their surroundings more intentional. When objects remain in healthy environments, they continue to serve their purpose without carrying unnecessary weight from the places they have been. And when the spaces around us are balanced and cared for, the entire home begins to feel calmer, clearer, and more peaceful. A home clear's throat is more than walls, furniture, and rooms. It is a personal space where life unfolds every day. It is where people rest, think, pray, dream, and spend time with their loved ones. Because so much of life happens inside a home, the atmosphere of that space matters more than many people realize. When the environment inside a home is peaceful and balanced, the people living there often feel calm, safe, and refreshed. But when the atmosphere becomes heavy or neglected, it can quietly affect the emotions and energy of everyone inside. Guarding your home spiritually begins with understanding that every space carries influence. Just as physical security protects a house from outside danger, spiritual awareness helps protect the atmosphere within. This does not mean living in fear or suspicion, but it means being intentional about what enters your space and how the environment is maintained. Many people carefully lock their doors at night, install security systems, and protect their property from physical harm. Yet very few people think about protecting the atmosphere of their home. The truth is that the emotional and spiritual environment of a home is just as important as its physical safety. A house may look beautiful on the outside, but if the inside is filled with tension, clutter, or negativity, the people living there will feel the difference. Guarding the atmosphere of your home begins with simple awareness. The things you allow inside your home, whether they are objects, conversations, habits, or influences, all contribute to the environment that develops there. Over time, these small influences shape the feeling of the entire space. For example, a home filled with kindness, encouragement, and calm communication naturally becomes a place of peace. When people speak with respect and patience, the atmosphere remains light and welcoming. On the other hand, if a home constantly carries anger, stress, or disorder, the environment may slowly become uncomfortable without anyone fully understanding why. The same principle applies to the physical arrangement of the home. Clean, organized spaces help create a sense of clarity and relaxation. When rooms are overcrowded with unnecessary items, clutter can make the environment feel heavy and chaotic. Maintaining order is not just about appearance, it also supports the emotional balance of the people who live there. Another important part of guarding your home is being mindful about what belongs in each space. Every room has a purpose. The kitchen is for nourishment, the bedroom is for rest, the living area is for connection, and the bathroom is for cleansing. When the purpose of a space becomes confused by storing the wrong things there, the atmosphere of that room can lose its natural balance. This is why intentional living matters. When people treat their homes with care and respect, they create an environment that supports their well-being. Simple habits such as keeping rooms clean, allowing fresh air and light to enter, and removing unnecessary items can make a powerful difference in how a home feels. Guarding your home also involves protecting the emotional tone inside it. The conversations that happen within those walls shape the experience of everyone who lives there. Words can either build peace or create tension. Choosing kindness, patience, and understanding strengthens the sense of safety and harmony within the home. Another aspect of spiritual guard is personal awareness. The attitudes and moods people carry into their home also affect the atmosphere. When someone enters their home after a difficult day, taking a moment to release stress before interacting with others can help preserve the peace of the space. In this way, everyone contributes to maintaining a healthy environment. Over time, a well guarded home becomes a place of restoration. When people step inside, they feel relief from the noise and pressures of the outside world. The space becomes a refuge where the mind can relax and the body can rest. This kind of environment that does not happen by accident. It grows from small daily choices. The way rooms are cared for, the objects that are kept, and the attitudes that are practiced all shape the atmosphere within those walls. When people become intentional about guarding their homes, they begin to notice the difference. The space feels lighter, more welcoming, and more supportive of the life happening inside it. Peace becomes easier to maintain, and the home becomes a place where both body and mind can truly rest. Many people treat the bathroom as a convenient place to keep a wide variety of personal items. Because it is a private space and often contains cabinets or shelves, it can easily become a storage area for things that do not truly belong there. Over time, bottles, grooming tools, clothing items, cosmetics, and many other personal belongings begin to accumulate in the bathroom simply because it feels like a practical place to keep them. However, not everything personal should be stored in that space. The bathroom has a very specific purpose in the home. It is primarily a place for hygiene, cleansing, and daily routines such as bathing, brushing teeth, or washing hands. Because of this function, the environment inside the bathroom is very different from the rest of the house. It experiences constant humidity, temperature changes, steam, and limited airflow. These conditions can affect many personal items in ways that people do not always consider. One of the most obvious reasons to limit what is stored in the bathroom is moisture. Steam from hot showers and running water can create a damp environment that lingers long after someone leaves the room. Many personal belongings, especially fabrics, paper products, or delicate materials, are not meant to remain in such conditions. Over time, humidity can weaken or damage these items. Cosmetics, skincare products, and medications are also commonly stored in bathrooms, yet many of them are actually meant to be kept in cool, dry places. Constant exposure to heat and moisture can reduce their quality and shorten their shelf life. Even small fluctuations in temperature can slowly change the chemical balance of certain products, making them less effective than intended. Clothing items are another example. Some people keep undergarments, towels, or even spare clothing in the bathroom for convenience. While it may seem practical, the bathroom environment is not always ideal for fabrics. Moisture can remain trapped in the air, which may cause fabrics to absorb dampness and develop unwanted odor if they remain there too long. Another reason to be mindful about bathroom storage is cleanliness. Because the bathroom deals with water, soap, and daily washing, it can easily become cluttered when too many items are placed there. A crowded space makes it harder to keep surfaces clean and organized. Items may fall behind cabinets, collect dust, or become exposed to splashes of water that affect their condition. When too many personal belongings are stored in the bathroom, the room also loses its sense of order. Instead of feeling fresh and simple, it begins to feel crowded and chaotic. This can affect how people experience the space. A cluttered bathroom often feels stressful rather than refreshing, even if the person using it cannot immediately explain why. Keeping only essential items in the bathroom can help maintain its purpose as a place of cleansing and renewal. When the space remains simple and organized, it becomes easier to clean and maintain. Surfaces stay clear, air circulates more freely, and the environment feels lighter. Another benefit of limiting bathroom storage is protecting personal belongings. Many items last longer when they are kept in stable environments such as bedrooms, closets, or drawers designed for storage. These areas typically have better airflow and more consistent temperatures, which help preserve the quality of personal products and materials. Organization also improves daily routines. When items are stored in the right place, it becomes easier to find what you need and keep track of your belongings. For example, cosmetics stored in a cool bedroom drawer may stay in better condition, and clothing kept in a proper wardrobe remains clean and fresh. The bathroom then remains a focused space used only for hygiene and basic grooming. This approach does not mean the bathroom should be completely empty. Essential items such as soap, toothbrushes, towels, and daily grooming tools naturally belong there. The key is balance. When the room contains only what is necessary for its function, it becomes easier to maintain both cleanliness and comfort. By being thoughtful about what is stored in the bathroom, people create a healthier and more organized home environment. Each room serves its proper purpose, and personal belongings are protected from unnecessary wear or damage. Over time, this simple habit can make a noticeable difference. The bathroom feels fresher, the home becomes more organized, and daily routines become smoother. Small decisions about where items are kept may seem unimportant at first, but they quietly shape the comfort and order of everyday life. Bathrooms are often seen only as practical spaces used for daily routines. People enter, complete what they need to do, and leave without thinking much about the environment of the room itself. But when you observe how spaces affect human emotions and atmosphere, you begin to understand that certain rooms in a home can hold a kind of lingering presence, career-led by repeated activity. The bathroom, because of its unique purpose and conditions, can easily hold what many people describe as spiritual or emotional residue. Every room in a home absorbs something from the activities that take place inside it. A kitchen often carries the warmth of meals and family conversations. A living room may hold the memory of laughter, relaxation, or shared time together. In the same way, a bathroom carries the imprint of the daily actions performed there. It is a place of release, cleansing, and privacy. And because these actions are repeated many times each day, the atmosphere of the space can slowly take on a certain weight. One of the reasons bathrooms can hold residue is the nature of what happens there. It is a room connected with the removal of physical waste and the washing away of impurities. While the body becomes clean after these routines, the environment itself can still retain the atmosphere created by constant use. Moisture, steam, and enclosed air allow the room to hold on to that feeling longer than other areas of the house. Another factor is the emotional state people sometimes bring into the bathroom because it is one of the most private places in a home. Many people spend quiet moments there thinking about their worries, stress, or personal struggles. Some people sit in silence, reflecting on difficult situations in their lives. Others take long showers or baths while trying to relax after a heavy day. These moments may be peaceful or stressful, but they still contribute to the emotional environment of the room. Over time, repeated emotions and actions can shape the atmosphere of any space. Just as a room filled with joyful gatherings begins to feel welcoming, a space that repeatedly hosts tension, stress, or release may begin to feel heavy. This is what people often refer to as residue, the lingering impression left behind by repeated experiences. Bathrooms also tend to be smaller and more enclosed than other rooms in a home. Many have limited windows or ventilation, which means air and moisture can remain trapped inside for longer periods. This creates an environment where smells, humidity, and general atmosphere can build up if the room is not regularly refreshed. Clutter can make this effect even stronger. When too many items are placed in a bathroom, they collect moisture and dust while blocking air circulation. The room then feels heavier and less comfortable to enter. Even if everything appears normal, the space may not feel as fresh as it should. This is why regular cleaning and ventilation are so important. When a bathroom is kept clean, dry, and well organized, the atmosphere, natural light, and simple organization can make a powerful difference in how the room feels. Something as simple as opening a window, wiping surfaces, or removing unnecessary items helps clear the space and restore a sense of freshness. Another helpful habit is maintaining simplicity in the room. The fewer unnecessary objects there are, the easier it is for the space to stay clean and balanced. Simple bathroom layout allows energy and air to move freely, rather than becoming trapped among crowded shelves and containers. It is also helpful to treat the bathroom as a place of renewal rather than neglect. When people view it as a space for refreshment and cleansing, they naturally take better care of it. The room then supports the purpose it was meant for, helping the body relax, clean itself, and prepare for the day or for rest. Understanding that bathrooms can hold a kind of residue encourages people to care for that space more intentionally. Instead of ignoring it or allowing it to become cluttered and heavy, they maintain it with the same attention then to other important rooms in the home. When this awareness becomes part of daily life, the entire home benefits. Clean, balanced spaces create a more peaceful environment, and the bathroom once again becomes what it should be, a place where stress is washed away and freshness is restored. Awareness is one of the most powerful forms of protection a person can have. Many problems in life do not begin with large, obvious events. Instead, they often start quietly through small habits, overlooked details, and things people simply never think about. When someone becomes aware of how their environment, actions, and routines affect their life, they gain the ability to prevent many issues before they ever grow into something bigger. Most people move through their daily routines on autopilot. They wake up, go through their habits, and move from one task to another without stopping to question the small things around them. This is natural because life can be busy and routines make everyday living easier. However, when people live without awareness, they sometimes allow unnecessary problems to enter their space without realizing it. Awareness begins with observation. It means paying attention to what is happening around you and asking simple questions about your environment. Why are certain items placed in certain rooms? Why does one space in their house feel peaceful while another feels uncomfortable? What habits have slowly become routine without anyone questioning them? These kinds of questions help people notice details that were previously ignored. When someone becomes aware of their surroundings, they start to understand the connection between their environment and their well-being. A cluttered room can affect concentration. A noisy environment can increase stress. In the same way, spaces that are clean, organized, and thoughtfully arranged can bring calmness and plow. Right awareness allows a person to recognize these patterns and make adjustments that support a healthier atmosphere. Protection does not always mean building barriers or reacting to danger. Often, the best protection comes from simply knowing what should and should not be allowed in a certain space. When people understand the purpose of each area in their home, they naturally maintain balance. They keep things where they belong and remove items that disturb the order of the environment. Awareness also protects people from careless habits. Many things that cause discomfort in a home begin with small actions repeated over time. A few extra items left in one room, clutter placed on shelves, or objects stored in the wrong place may seem harmless at first, but as these habits continue, they slowly change the atmosphere of the space. When people become aware of these patterns, they can correct them early. Instead of allowing clutter to build up, they organize their belongings. Instead of ignoring a neglected area, they clean and restore it. These small choices prevent larger problems from forming later. Another important part of awareness is mindfulness about personal routines. Daily habits influence not only the environment but also a person's mindset. For example, taking a few moments each day to tidy a room, open a window for fresh air, or remove unnecessary items helps maintain balance in the home. These actions may seem simple, but they have a powerful impact on the overall feeling of the space. Awareness also encourages responsibility. When people understand that their actions influence the environment around them, they become more careful with how they treat their living spaces. Instead of assuming that comfort will happen automatically, they take an active role in maintaining it. Over time, this kind of awareness creates a stronger sense of control and peace. Rather than reacting to problems after they appear, people prevent them through thoughtful habits and attention to detail. The home becomes a place where order is maintained naturally because everyone understands the importance of their surroundings. Another benefit of awareness is that it helps people recognize what truly matters. Instead of filling their homes with unnecessary objects or distractions, they begin to value simplicity and purpose. Each item in the home has a reason to be there, and each space serves its proper function. This way of living makes the environment feel lighter and more balanced. Rooms are easier to maintain, daily routines become smoother, and the entire home feels more comfortable. When awareness becomes part of everyday life, protection follows naturally. People do not need to constantly worry about problems entering their space because they are already paying attention to what belongs there and what does not. Their environment stays healthier because they remain mindful of how it is shaped. In the end, awareness is not about fear or suspicion, it is about clarity. It is the ability to see your surroundings clearly, understand how they affect you, and make wise decisions about how you care for the spaces where you live. When people practice this kind of awareness, they protect their peace, their home, and their daily life in simple but powerful ways. Sometimes the path to peace is not about adding more to our lives, but about removing what does not belong. Our homes, like our minds, can become cluttered over time. We accumulate items, habits, and even attitudes that slowly weigh down our environment without us realizing it. In many cases, the simple act of removing the wrong things, whether physical objects, negative patterns, or unnecessary distractions, can completely transform the atmosphere of a space and restore a sense of calm and balance. Every home has its rhythm. Rooms are filled with the activities of daily life, and over time, small things begin to accumulate in spaces where they do not belong. A shelf might hold old bottles. An unused towel may remain folded in a corner, or unnecessary toiletries gather on the sink. While each item may seem harmless on its own, the combined effect creates a heavier, less comfortable environment. It is easy to overlook these things because they are part of the routine, and familiarity can blind us to the subtle ways they affect our space. The first step toward restoring peace is recognition. People must become aware of what they are keeping and why. Many items remain simply because they are convenient or because it feels wasteful to throw them away. Others linger out of habit or because we underestimate the energy that everyday objects carry. By observing the spaces we occupy daily, we begin to notice patterns. Certain areas feel cluttered or overwhelming, not because of what is there intentionally, but because of what no longer serves a purpose. Once awareness is established, the act of removal becomes a form of liberation. Clearing unnecessary items from a space creates room for energy, light, and air to flow freely. It allows the environment to breathe. A bathroom, for Clear's throat example, is a room meant for cleansing. When it becomes crowded with old bottles, expired products, or unrelated objects, it no longer serves its intended purpose. Removing those items restores not only the functionality of the room, but also its atmosphere, making it feel lighter and more refreshing. The process of removing the wrong things also applies to habits and attitudes. Negative routines, grudges, or repetitive thoughts can weigh down a person as much as physical clutter can weigh down a room. When people take the time to recognize what is no longer helpful and consciously let it go, they create mental and emotional space for peace and clarity. Just as a room feels calmer when unnecessary objects are removed, the mind feels lighter when outdated thoughts or harmful habits are released. This principle extends to the way we handle relationships and influences as well. Not every association or habit contributes positively to our life. Some things, when left unattended, drain energy and disrupt peace. Removing the influence of negativity, whether in objects, routines, or relationships, strengthens the sense of security and calm in a home. When the environment is purified of what does not belong, the people within it feel more supported and at ease. It is also important to recognize that removal is not a one-time task. Homes, like lives, are dynamic spaces. As time passes, new items, habits, or influences can accumulate. Periodically reassessing what is necessary and what should be let go helps maintain a continuous sense of peace. This practice ensures that spaces do not become heavy again, and that the home remains a sanctuary rather than a place of clutter or stress. The act of removing the wrong things. It is not about discarding anything impulsively, but about understanding the purpose and energy of each item or habit. This careful evaluation allows us to keep what supports our lives and release what hinders them over time. This creates a rhythm of renewal and balance in both physical and spiritual environments. Another benefit of this practice is the clarity it brings to daily life. When a room is organized, clean, and free of unnecessary items, It becomes easier to focus on the tasks at hand. Daily routines flow more smoothly and the sense of chaos diminishes. Similarly, when mental and emotional clutter is removed, decision-making becomes clearer. Stress levels decrease and a greater sense of inner peace emerge. Ultimately removing what does not belong is an act of care and intention. It shows respect for the home, for oneself, and for the energy that surrounds us by consciously choosing to let go of what is unnecessary. The space becomes lighter, freer, and more harmonious. Peace is not a distant goal. It is restored through deliberate actions, small and consistent, that honor the purpose of each room, each object, and each habit in our lives. In the end, the act of removal is a pathway to restoration. When the wrong things leave, the home breathes, the mind breathes, and life itself feels lighter. Peace returns naturally, not through effort alone, but through the conscious decision to let go and create space for what truly belongs. Clutter is often dismissed as a simple matter of untidiness, something that only affects the appearance of a home or a room. Yet when examined from a deeper perspective, clutter can do far more than make a space look disorderly. It can actively block the flow of positive energy, creating heaviness and imbalance that subtly influences the people who live in that environment. Most people do not realize how much the objects they leave around them impact the atmosphere of a room and, by extension, their peace of mind. When a bathroom becomes crowded with items that do not belong there, it is not just a matter of inconvenience. It is a disruption of the natural energy that should flow freely in that space. Every object in a room carries with it a type of presence. It absorbs the environment, the habits of the person who uses it, and even the emotional state of the household. Over time, when too many objects are placed in a single area, the atmosphere becomes heavy. In a bathroom, this effect is amplified because the room is small, enclosed, and constantly exposed to moisture, steam, and fluctuating temperatures. These conditions create an environment where clutter can accumulate not only physically but also energetically. A space that should feel refreshing and clean instead begins to feel suffocating and chaotic. Clutter impacts energy in subtle but powerful ways. When a person enters a bathroom that is overcrowded with bottles, personal items, and unnecessary objects, the mind registers a sense of disorder. Even if the mess seems insignificant, the brain perceives it as a disruption. This creates an undercurrent of unease or tension, a subconscious reminder that the space is not fully balanced. Over time, entering a cluttered environment repeatedly can reduce the mental clarity and emotional calm a person experiences in that space. What should be a sanctuary for cleansing and renewal instead becomes a room that feels heavy and draining. It clears throat is important to understand that clutter does not have to be large or obvious to block positive energy. A single shelf stacked with extra toiletries, an old towel left folded on the counter, or a few miscellaneous objects left lying around can slowly build an invisible barrier that obstructs the natural flow of energy. The presence of these items affects not only the physical room, but also the emotional and spiritual atmosphere. The more clutter there is, the less space there is for positive energy to circulate freely. This is why even small, seemingly harmless items need to be considered carefully. Bathrooms are unique in that they are spaces of cleansing. Water, steam, and personal hygiene activities are meant to refresh the body and symbolically to cleanse the spirit. Clutter interferes with this process. Instead of feeling rejuvenated after a shower or a bath, a person may feel a subtle weight, a sense that the room is heavy or crowded. The objects left in the space absorb energy much like a sponge absorbs water, and if left unchecked, they prevent the room fraying its natural purpose of renewal. The problem of clutter blocking positive energy is not just physical, it is also psychological. A cluttered bathroom creates stress on the mind, even if the individual is not fully aware of it. When someone walks into a room where objects are piled or scattered, the brain unconsciously assesses the situation, creating a tension response. This tension might be minor at first, but it can accumulate over time. The mind becomes less relaxed in a space that should promote calm, and routines that are meant to refresh the body and spirit are subtly undermined. To restore the flow of positive energy, the first step is awareness. People must begin to notice the items they keep in the bathroom and assess whether they truly belong there. Awareness is key because it allows a person to identify what is essential for the function of the space and what has been left there out of habit or convenience. Many items remain in bathrooms simply because it is easy to place them there, not because they serve a necessary purpose. Over time, these objects accumulate and block the natural movement of energy. Once awareness is established, the process of removal becomes transformative. Each item that is unnecessary or misplaced is taken out of the bathroom, creating more open space. With each removal, the room becomes lighter, both physically and energetically. Open shelves, clear counters, and minimal objects allow energy to circulate freely. The flow of air, the presence of light, and the sense of space all contribute to a renewed atmosphere where positive energy can thrive. The room begins to feel more peaceful, more inviting, and more in line with its purpose as a place of cleansing. Clutter can also impact energy in ways that go beyond the bathroom itself. The bathroom is a part of the home, and the energy of each room affects the overall atmosphere of the house. When a bathroom is heavy with clutter, that heaviness can subtly extend to the rest of the home. People may notice a general sense of tension, restlessness, or fatigue, even if other areas are neat and organized. By removing clutter from the bathroom, the positive energy flows not only in that room, but also contributes to the broader sense of harmony throughout the house. Another important aspect is that clutter affects how people relate to their belongings. When a space is overcrowded, items are harder to access, harder to maintain, and more likely to be ignored. This creates a cycle where the environment deteriorates over time. By consciously removing what does not belong, people reclaim control over their space. Each item that remains in the bathroom has a purpose, and each area of the room is intentionally maintained. This act of curation reinforces the sense of balance and allows energy to flow in a more focused, harmonious way. Clutter does not only block positive energy, it also creates openings for negative energy to accumulate. Just as stagnant water becomes unhealthy over time, stagnant energy caused by excessive items or disorder can create tension, discomfort, and even spiritual heaviness. Clearing unnecessary objects prevents this buildup and creates a neutral, refreshing environment. It allows the room to serve its purpose as a sanctuary of cleansing and renewal. Maintaining a clutter-free bathroom requires consistency. It is not enough to remove items once. The practice of regularly assessing what belongs and what does not ensures that the room remains light, balanced, and full of positive energy. Daily routines like wiping counters, removing items that do not belong, and keeping only essential objects help sustain this atmosphere over time. Ultimately, the principle is simple but powerful. Clutter blocks positive energy by wreck, organizing what is unnecessary, removing it carefully, and maintaining intentional spaces. A bathroom can return to being a place of calm, refreshment, and spiritual renewal. It becomes a space where energy flows freely. The mind relaxes and the body feels rejuvenated. Peace and clarity are restored not through grand actions, but through thoughtful attention to the small details that shape the environment we inhabit. When a room is cleared of clutter, it breathes. When the energy flows freely, people feel lighter, calmer, and more balanced. Positive energy fills the space naturally without force, creating an atmosphere where daily routines are restorative. The spirit feels refreshed, and the home as a whole becomes a sanctuary of harmony. A clutter-free bathroom is more than an organized space. It is a powerful tool for maintaining spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. Every home carries a certain atmosphere, a unique energy shaped by the way it is organized, the objects it holds, and the actions that take place within its walls. While people often focus on cleanliness, decoration, or comfort, they rarely consider the spiritual dimension of the spaces they inhabit. Yet the truth is that the arrangement of your home, the purpose of each room, and the objects you choose to keep can either strengthen or weaken your spiritual boundaries. Intentional spaces, rooms created and maintained with mindfulness, are powerful tools for protecting your peace and fostering balance in both the physical and spiritual realms. When we speak of intentional spaces, we are referring to areas that are designed with purpose, awareness, and respect. Each object has a reason to be there, and every section of the home is organized in a way that supports the life of those who live in it. This is in contrast to spaces that accumulate objects haphazardly or are treated carelessly. In careless spaces, energy becomes stagnant, boundaries blur, and the home can slowly absorb unwanted tension or negativity. Intentional spaces, on the other hand, actively maintain harmony and clarity, creating natural spiritual protection without any elaborate rituals. The bathroom, for example, is one of the most important spaces to treat intentionally. Though small and often overlooked, it is a place where the body is exposed. Privacy is absolute, and cleansing occurs daily. It is a space of vulnerability which makes it particularly sensitive to both physical and spiritual influences. When the bathroom is cluttered, disorganized, or filled with items that do not belong, it disrupts the energy of the space and creates openings for negative influence. On the contrary, when the room is intentionally organized, clean, and limited to essential items, it becomes a place of renewal, protection, and spiritual clarity. Intentional spaces strengthen spiritual boundaries because they create structure. Boundaries, whether physical or spiritual, depend on clear lines, defined spaces, and purpose-driven organization. A room that is chaotic, overcrowded, or filled with unnecessary objects becomes porous, allowing energies, both positive and negative, to flow in ways that are not controlled. By contrast, a room designed intentionally is naturally fortified. The placement of objects, the flow of movement, the openness of surfaces, and the clarity of purpose all contribute to a sense of order and protection. The objects in a room matter just as much as the space itself. Every item you keep carries a trace of the energy from where it came, the people who handled it, and the circumstances under which it was acquired. When objects are placed without thought, they can accumulate stagnant energy, creating tension and imbalance in the home. However, when objects are carefully selected and positioned, they reinforce the purpose of the space. Items that belong in a bathroom, for instance, support hygiene and renewal. Objects unrelated to the room's function. Extra clutter, unused products, or random personal belongings dilute the energy and weaken the spiritual integrity of the space. Intentional placement prevents these disruptions and reinforces the room's protective qualities. Clarity of function is a key aspect of intentional spaces. Each area of the home has a role to play. The kitchen nourishes, the bedroom restores, the living room fosters connection, and the bathroom cleanses. When items or activities from other areas invade these spaces, the boundaries begin to blur. For example, storing non-essential items in a bathroom or using a bedroom as a storage closet creates disorder, confuses energy flow, and weakens the protective function of the space. By keeping each room aligned with its intended purpose, you naturally create a home that maintains spiritual clarity. Intentional spaces also reinforce awareness. When you treat a room with purpose, you remain conscious of its condition, the objects it holds, and the energy it carries. Awareness is a form of spiritual vigilance. It allows you to notice when a space feels heavy, stagnant, or off balance, and to take corrective measures. This vigilance prevents negative energy from lingering, helps identify problem areas before they grow, and strengthens your ability to maintain spiritual boundaries within your home. Another critical aspect is the removal of unnecessary items. Clutter not only blocks physical movement, but also inhibits the flow of energy. It creates stagnation that is difficult to perceive, but deeply affects the atmosphere. Intentional spaces, by contrast, remove what is not essential. They allow energy to circulate freely, keep the environment light, and reduce the risk of spiritual disturbance. The act of consciously removing unnecessary objects is itself a protective measure. It establishes a boundary between what belongs and what does not, keeping the space clean, balanced, and fortified against negativity. Lighting, ventilation, and cleanliness also play a vital role in reinforcing spiritual boundaries. Bright, well ventilated rooms allow energy to flow naturally. Shadows, stagnant air, and damp surfaces create conditions where energy can become trapped or heavy. Maintaining intentional spaces requires attention to these details. Clean surfaces, open windows, and natural light not only improve physical conditions, but also uplift the spiritual atmosphere of the room. A simple, well aired for space can act as a shield against the invisible pressures of the outside world. Intentional spaces extend beyond the physical to include routines and habits. How a space is used daily can reinforce or weaken its energy. A bathroom that is cleaned regularly, a bedroom that is organized each morning, a kitchen that is maintained after every meal. These are acts of intentional living that strengthen spiritual boundaries. The consistency of these habits signals to the environment that the space is cared for, respected, and aligned with its purpose. Repetition of intentional actions creates an invisible barrier that protects the home and its inhabitants. Beyond individual rooms, intentional spaces have a cumulative effect on the entire home. Each room that is treated with care contributes to the overall energy of the house. If one area is neglected, it can affect the harmony of the entire home. Conversely, when multiple spaces are intentionally maintained, the house functions as a cohesive unit with each area supporting the others. Spiritual boundaries are reinforced because the entire environment is aligned, organized, and balanced. Finally, intentional spaces cultivate mindfulness. Living in a home where each object, each surface, and each room is purposefully maintained teaches attentiveness and discipline. Mindfulness allows you to respond to disruptions before they escalate, recognize areas where energy is blocked, and make choices that support peace and clarity. This awareness becomes a form of spiritual protection, ensuring that negative influences do not settle in and that the home remains a sanctuary. In essence, intentional spaces are more than aesthetically pleasing or organized. They are spiritually powerful by arranging rooms with purpose, limiting objects to what is essential, maintaining cleanliness, and aligning daily routines with the function of each space. You reinforce boundaries that protect both the physical and spiritual integrity of your home. Intentional living is a practice of vigilance, care, and awareness, and the energy of spaces maintained in this way naturally supports harmony, clarity, and peace. When a home is intentionally organized, every room has a clear function. Energy flows freely, and spiritual boundaries remain strong. The spaces become safe havens where the mind is calm, the body feels renewed, and the spirit can rest without interference. In this way, the act of maintaining intentional spaces is an act of protection, a continuous practice that preserves the balance and sanctity of the home and ensures that those who live within it are shielded from unnecessary disturbance. A home treated with intention is not just a house, it is a sanctuary. It becomes a space where energy is clear, boundaries are firm, and spiritual protection is inherent. By creating intentional spaces, you are actively shaping the atmosphere, guarding the home, and reinforcing a sanctuary that supports every aspect of life, from the physical to the spiritual. Peace, clarity, and protection naturally flow from spaces that are treated with purpose, making intentional living one of the most powerful tools for maintaining harmony and spiritual security in any home. Daily habits are far more than simple routines performed out of necessity. They are the invisible threads that weave the atmosphere of a home, shaping both its physical condition and its spiritual environment. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions, assuming that only major events or changes have a lasting impact on life. Yet, it is often the habits repeated day after day that determine whether a home feels peaceful, balanced, and harmonious, or heavy, chaotic, and draining. When these habits are carried out intentionally, they reinforce not only cleanliness and organization, but also the natural energy flow, spiritual protection, and emotional calm that every home should possess. Consider the bathroom as an example. Though often overlooked as a mundane part of the home, the bathroom plays a critical role in daily life. It is a place of cleansing, a private space where the body is refreshed, and a room that experiences frequent use. The way we care for this space on a daily basis can significantly affect the overall harmony of the home. Simple routines, wiping down surfaces, organizing items, airing the room, and discarding unnecessary products do not just maintain cleanliness. They create an energy of order, clarity, and renewal. These small actions, repeated consistently, reinforce a positive atmosphere that extends beyond the walls of the bathroom. The principle applies to every area of the home. In the kitchen, washing dishes immediately after use. Wiping countertops and storing food properly prevents chaos and supports a sense of calm. In the bedroom, making the bed each morning, putting away clothing, and maintaining a tidy environment fosters restfulness and emotional balance. Even the living areas benefit from daily habits such as arranging cushions, organizing shared spaces, and removing clutter. Each action may appear minor, but when performed consistently, they become powerful reinforcements of home harmony. Daily habits are a form of spiritual alignment as well. Every home carries energy, and the repetition of conscious, intentional actions helps maintain the positive flow of that energy. When people neglect small tasks, spaces slowly accumulate disorder, tension, and stagnation. Clutter, dust, and disorganization are not just physical problems, they disrupt the invisible balance of the home. Conversely, daily care creates a rhythm that naturally supports harmony, ensuring that both the environment and the people living in it are in sync with peace, clarity, and spiritual protection. The importance of consistency cannot be overstated. It is not enough to clean or organize a room once in a while. Sporadic efforts cannot sustain harmony. Daily habits work like a protective shield, reinforcing the boundaries of the home and preventing negative influences from taking root. When these routines become ingrained, the home becomes resilient against disruption and the atmosphere remains light and balanced. In this way, habits act as both maintenance and defense, keeping the home functional, organized, and spiritually aligned. Awareness is central to the effectiveness of daily habits. Habits performed mindlessly may maintain order superficially, but they do not reinforce the energy of the home in the same way. Mindful routines involve recognizing the purpose of each action, understanding the flow of energy in the space, and performing tasks with intention. For instance, when wiping down the bathroom counter, awareness includes not only removing dust and water, but also understanding the importance of keeping the environment clean and uncluttered for spiritual and emotional well-being. This conscious approach magnifies the impact of every routine. Daily habits also shape the way people interact with the environment and each other. Homes are shared spaces, and the collective habits of the inhabitants determine the overall atmosphere. When everyone contributes to maintaining order, cleanliness, and intentionality, the home naturally feels lighter, more peaceful, and more harmonious. Conversely, when only one person maintains habits while others remain indifferent, tension arises. Energy becomes unbalanced, and the sense of home harmony diminishes. Establishing a culture of mindful routines creates cohesion and mutual respect, reinforcing both the physical and spiritual integrity of the space. Beyond organization and energy, daily habits impact mental clarity and emotional health. A home cluttered with disorganization or neglected tasks can create subconscious stress even if the mind does not consciously register it. Each undone chore, each misplaced item, and each chaotic corner is a silent weight that accumulates over time. When daily habits are consistently performed, these stressors are removed before they can build up, allowing the inhabitants to move through their spaces with ease, clarity, and calm. The home becomes a sanctuary rather than a source of tension, supporting emotional WS well as physical cleanliness. Daily habits also reinforce personal responsibility and discipline. The repetition of small tasks cultivates attentiveness, patience, and diligence. These qualities extend beyond household management into other areas of life, creating individuals who are more intentional, aware, and aligned with their goals. A home maintained through daily habits becomes a reflection of its inhabitants, organized, balanced, and resilient. This personal discipline strengthens the spiritual boundaries of the home because it ensures that order, clarity, and intentionality are consistently upheld. Another important aspect of daily habits is the prevention of stagnation. Spaces left unattended, even for short periods, begin to accumulate disorder. Dust collects, items are misplaced, and surfaces become clotted. Over time, this stagnation impacts the energy of the room, creating heaviness that is difficult to perceive but deeply affects the home. By performing daily habits, this stagnation is avoided. Energy flows freely, spaces remain vibrant, and the home feels alive rather than heavy. The repetition of these actions preserves both the physical and spiritual freshness of the environment. Daily habits also provide a sense of control and confidence. When routines are established and maintained, the home functions smoothly and inhabitants feel empowered to manage their environment effectively. This sense of order fosters peace of mind, reduces anxiety, and allows for greater focus on the more significant aspects of life. A home that runs harmoniously through intentional daily actions becomes a place of refuge where both body and spirit are supported. Small daily actions also encourage mindfulness about what belongs in the home. When items are placed thoughtfully, clutter is minimized and each object has a purpose. The home becomes more than just a functional space. It becomes an environment that actively supports clarity, peace, and spiritual alignment. Daily habits include evaluating what is necessary, discarding what no longer serves a purpose, and maintaining surfaces and spaces that support the flow of positive energy. These seemingly minor choices cumulatively create a home that radiates balance and harmony. Ultimately, daily habits reinforce home harmony because they shape both the physical and energetic dimensions of a living space. They maintain order, encourage mindfulness, prevent stagnation, and cultivate discipline and awareness. Each action performed consistently and with intention contributes to a home that feels peaceful, balanced, and spiritually aligned. The simple repetition of small, thoughtful tasks ensures that the environment remains supportive of emotional, mental, and spiritual well being. When daily habits are neglected, even the most beautiful home can feel heavy, chaotic, or uncomfortable. Conversely, when intentional routines are maintained, every room breathes, energy flows freely, and the home becomes a sanctuary. It is a place where the body can relax, the mind can rest, and the spirit can be renewed. The power of daily habits lies not in their complexity but in their consistency and intention. They are the quiet guardians of the home, preserving peace, balance, and harmony in ways that are subtle yet profound.